Raw and Nerdy.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Raw and Nerdy. This is episode number 49. I am Joe the Widget, and I am joined by my only fellow co-host today because Rook is out because he has his once a month working weekend, unfortunately. But Archon's with me.
Yeah, the one and only, baby. Sorry, I'm a little sick, so you're gonna have to deal with congested Archon today.
It's better than them just having to deal with just Widget today.
Well, I mean, could be true. We'll see.
Solo shows are not my forte. I've done them, but they're not the best thing in the world. I am watching the Buffalo Bills game. This is week 1 of the NFL starting, and so we're going to get into a little bit of a sports thing today. I know sports can be very nerdy, and I know that all 3 of the hosts on this show are sports fans. So we're going to get into that, talk about how is sports nerdy? What kind of sports do we like? Why? What kind of sports do we not like and why? That kind of thing. And we got some news we're going to go over, what we've been doing in the week. And so if you hear me spontaneously cheer or have to bleep myself on the air, you'll know why. It's the fourth quarter. Yeah, it's a very close game.
You'll probably be able to piece where in the game he's at just by listening to this episode. So, it must have been right here.
Yeah, like I said, fourth quarter, the beginning of the fourth quarter, and it's 24-20. Buffalo's in the lead. But they played like garbage the first half. Complete garbage. It was a joke. 15 penalties, I would say were like 7 or 8 penalties against them, and only 1 against the Cardinals the entire first half, which brought a touchdown back. It brought, they even had a missed call, which they said roughing the passer, and the Bills would have stopped the Cardinals. But everyone in the entire stadium was groaning and yelling, and the announcers were saying that was a bad call. It was not roughing the passer at all. He didn't even touch the passer. Yeah, it's not been a fun game until the second half, and then Buffalo started just kind of dominating the Cardinals. So let's see if that goes. But anyway, I am recording a podcast, and we are doing it a little bit early so that Archon can do the show today and not gets too stuffed up where he can't.
Yeah. I also am watching football, except I'm watching the Vikings absolutely dominate the Giants. So
we'll get into that in a minute. Our teams and all that. And I'm curious about what you think about the new kickoff rules.
I don't like it.
No?
Not yet. It seems I'm not a huge fan. I mean, we'll see how it goes. It's only the first week. So
I like the way they did it. It's very akin to XFL was, and I really like that system. It does promote kickoff returns more, and a much stiffer penalty for not returning the ball for the team that kicked. So kicking in the end zone, it brings them out to the 30-yard line, even the 40 in some circumstances. But anyway, what have you been up to this week? We missed you last week.
Oh man, I've been so sick all week. I don't think I had COVID, but it started out where it seemed like it was just allergies, and then everything just like seized up in my face, and then I started getting this massive fever that just lasted for days. Like I'm talking like 102, 103s, like just crazy fevers that just didn't want to go away. And
I was getting a little concerned about you for a while.
Yeah, I think part of it, like my wife brought this up, and I kind of looked it up a little bit, and there was some merit to what she said. I think part of it is because for my shoulder injury, I just started a regimen of steroids, and the steroids are making the cold worse. And I'm not, my doctor doesn't want me to take any type of Motrin or any other type of medication with the steroids, so I can't take anything like any cold medicine or anything like that to help me get better. All I can do is just deal with it.
I almost just cheered in the middle of your conversation, so I kept it down. We're good.
But I kind of looked it up a little bit, and like steroids can cause like certain cold and flu symptoms to get worse. So
I guess it depends on the steroid.
Yeah, it could be. I mean,
it's a chance.
I don't know. All I know is that it's a week later and I'm still sick. And I'm over it. I'm over the congestion. I'm over the sneezing fits. I'm over the fevers. It's dumb. And then, I'm still dealing with my shoulder. The good thing is the steroids have been helping my shoulder a lot. I was actually really hopeful because my shoulder started feeling like pretty good. Like not even just not bad, but like getting pretty good. But then it's one of those steroids where you take a bunch at first and then you taper off. And as I'm tapering off, like the more I taper, the more the shoulder starts tapering back pain-wise. So I think the steroids were just masking the pain. And I think there's still a major underlying issue in there. And now they're going to know that based on the fact that as the steroids go away, the pain's coming back. So, still dealing with workman's comp who like to just drag their feet, waiting to get an MRI done. My daughter, who you all have heard has had multiple concussions, decided to give herself another one this week. So
She
that's
has
been
got to
fun.
learn to be super careful. That can cause some serious damage getting multiple concussions.
I know she dropped a 2 liter at work on her head. So she's back under concussion protocol for a while. She's supposed to go to her mom's this weekend, but they told her that they didn't think her being in a car or driving or anything like that was a good idea. So she's home this weekend.
Well, yeah, because she could lose consciousness.
Well, they said they didn't, like, even if her mom came to pick her up, they said it wasn't a good idea for, like, mentally. It's just like there's just too much stimulation and stuff involved with driving. The doctor said that she should just sit in a dark room all weekend and not use her brain for anything.
Oh, jeez.
So that's kind of what she's been doing. I mean, for the most part, she's just been hanging out down in our basement because it's nice and dark down there and cool. And I don't know.
I miss having a basement. When I was in Buffalo, New York for 15 years, that was my first experience with them because they just don't have them in California because they're an earthquake liability.
Right.
So all the buildings, if you don't know, in California are based off of slabs. So they're concrete slabs, houses, things like that. There's only some like high-rise and stuff like that where they build underground, but they have to have earthquake protocols. Yes. Anyway, so what it does is that concrete slab will just move with the earth and minimize damage on the houses. And if you have a basement that goes below it, it will counteract with the earth and it will literally collapse the building. So and the only way to make that safe for earthquakes requires a lot of engineering and is stupid expensive. So most all the houses are built just on these concrete slabs. So going to Buffalo and actually having basements and cellars and stuff like that, it was a new experience. I liked it.
Yeah, they're nice, especially in the winter in the summer when it starts getting really hot out and stuff like that. The basement usually is like a good 15, 20 degrees cooler. So
Yeah.
you just kind of go hang out down there. We have like ours is set up where there's like a couple TVs down there, a bunch of games set up. That's where our VR, everything like that's all set up. Kids go down there to like watch TV and play games and pretty neat little quote unquote nerdy area, which I mean for me like I don't really go down there a whole lot because my computer, I do mostly PC gaming and stuff, and that my desk and my computer and my whole setup's upstairs, so it would be a pain to try and move it all downstairs.
Yeah, that would be a pain.
Yeah, but
I
the
did
one
that
good
though.
thing,
When I lived in Buffalo, I had my computer set up. We had a finished basement. It was a completely
right?
finished basement and bathroom and everything down there. So I set up a little computer space. It was nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, my wife's is up here, so I just kind of set mine up near hers so that if I'm home during the day and I'm near her and not hiding down in the basement all the time.
Yeah, that's
That
fair.
way I can interact with the kids a little bit more, even though the kids spend all their time down there.
Catch
But
22.
one one good thing about being sick though is it did give me a lot of time to play some EverQuest. I did play a little Enshrouded this week, not a lot, but mostly EverQuest.
Every time I looked over, you were on EverQuest.
Well, okay, so because of the holiday, every time there's a major holiday, EverQuest does a bonus double XP week thing where all the XP and stuff is doubled. So it's kind of hard not to play EverQuest right now because it was the best time to be leveling all my characters and doing all that kind of stuff. So, and I actually got a few things done that weren't leveling because everybody was so busy leveling, they were leaving the stuff alone that I needed for some of my quests. I
That
went
works.
run around behind them and knocked a couple things out. Like I finally finished my Enchanter's Epic, which I swore I was never gonna do, but since everybody was busy with double XP and the mobs were there, I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So I knocked it out.
Every now and then I miss playing an MMO.
I do. I almost always have to have one going. It doesn't feel right if I'm not playing one.
What I don't
Is-
like about them, though, is the time sink that's sometimes required for them.
Yeah, especially EverQuest. EverQuest is bad. It's not as like World of Warcraft and stuff. You can jump on that game and play. Like you could get to a point in World of Warcraft where you can log on for like 3 hours a week and be perfectly fine and do everything you need to do for the week and have all your lockouts done. That doesn't exist in EverQuest. There's so much to do in EverQuest that there's always something that could be sinking your time. I actually, with the new expansion of World of Warcraft coming out not that long, like within the last week, I've had people at work trying to get me to play and get me to. Well, I guess it's been a little over
I
a
don't
week
like World of Warcraft. I just don't. I mean, the Dragon expansion was pretty fun, but it only
Yeah.
gripped my attention for like a month. Then I got bored of it.
Exactly. That's the way all the expansions have been, and that's why I haven't gotten it yet. Is like they all like I'll play them for like a month and then I get bored. I mean, this one did add a bunch of different things, like a
They
bunch of
do
new
every
things.
time. But
Well, I mean, they added a bunch of things that you can do like solo, so you don't have to worry about like when other people aren't on and stuff. There's a lot of like they added delves into the game now, like solo
oh,
delves,
they're taking after
Elder Scrolls,
Elder
yeah.
Scrolls Online.
But they added some like solo delves that you can like get really good rewards like the further you progress into them, and they added cool things like that, and they're kind of going more back to the roots of the game, which I do like. Like one of the things that really drove me crazy about the later the like later versions of WoW is how like when the game came out, it was all about Horde versus Alliance. And then all of a sudden it like slowly started evolving into the Horde and Alliance cooperating, and then you can like group with each other, and then like it just became like there was no difference really between
Horde
Horde
for
and
life,
Alliance.
man. I know.
But now it's getting like the whole War Within expansion is supposed to be starting to get back more into the we realize why we were cooperating, but now we don't need to anymore, so now we don't like you anymore. I think.
Yeah.
And now they're like realizing, hey, we really do hate each other still. So
I almost got a Horde tattoo when I was really into World of Warcraft back in the day when Wrath
mhm.
was on. I
uh
almost did. I'm kind of glad I didn't now, but it would have been hilarious.
yeah.
My ex-wife and I were
I,
both thinking about doing it. Yes! Sorry! Touchdown, Buffalo.
yes.
Allen for a
Nice.
leaping touchdown. Now 30-20. Soon to be 31-20.
Yeah, I see when I first started playing World of Warcraft back in the day, like I started day one when the game launched, and I was always Alliance until about Wrath. I think is when I switched. Like some of my friends were playing on Horde, and like I switched, and we all formed a guild together, and then I've been Horde ever since. I can't even
Yes.
play Alliance anymore.
That
I
game's
can't
funny
stand it.
because the actual good guys are the Horde.
I
Did they
mean,
really?
kind
Okay.
of,
Yeah, when you look at the
yeah.
actual story, they're actually the good guys. And
Huh.
the Alliance is all kinds of screwed up.
That's hilarious. Sorry, football.
Yeah.
So, whatchamacallit, they got in the Giants got an interception. They got it all the way down to like the 1 yard line, and then the Vikings got an interception and got it right back at the 1 yard line. That's
That's
great.
funny.
Anyway, so um, yeah. So I mean, I realized this week how much is coming up, and it scares me. Like I might have to sacrifice something I really want to do because um I was talking with Widget and I realized that on the 30th of September, so just in like 3 weeks basically, is
Yes.
when Shattered Space comes out
The one, only one I'm looking forward
Starfield.
to.
Yeah, for Starfield, which is like we do a show about it, so obviously I'm hyped about it. We've been talking about it for a year. We've been anticipating. We've been picking apart what it could be and and now it's finally happening and we get to see. And so I'm super excited. But then, what, 9 days later, on the 8th of October, is when the new expansion for Diablo 4 drops,
Yeah.
which I know you're not excited about, but I am because of all the changes that they've been making to the game. The ones they've made so far have been really, really good, and the game's finally going in a good direction. B, they're finally listening to us and changing the Paragon system and dropping the max level to 60 instead of 100, and it's going to be amazing. The expansion is going to be great, and it adds a new class. I'm really looking forward to it. But then, because I'm also a big a big EverQuest person, on the 10th, 2 days later, is when the next expansion for my TLP releases. So it's like, oh, I really want to play Diablo 4, but I don't know if I'm going to have time. I just don't know if I'll have time for it.
Yeah, you can do without. See how it goes. See what people think, and then if everyone gets stoked about it and it is actually good, then try it out. Give it a few
Yeah, I
weeks.
mean, I could do that. I could wait like a month or something, hop into that one later.
I just got so
But
jaded with it. I was so excited for Diablo 4, and then when it dropped, it was just not good. And then
it's
the
okay.
first season came out, it was not good.
You gotta look at it at Diablo 4's timeline the same way as Diablo 3's timeline.
So
Diablo
I'm
3
waiting.
didn't really get good until like a little bit into it either.
A long
Like
way
when it
into it.
first came out, it was kind of the only good thing about Diablo 3 when it came out was the real money auction house.
Oh, come on. You gotta be kidding me.
No, I really did like it. No, I
No,
know you're
no.
talking about football. I'm just
Cardinals
kidding.
just got a touchdown on a kickoff return.
Ooh.
That was bad.
Uh.
Ridiculous. 27-31. He's
Womp womp.
dumb. Anyway, and I was just talking about how much I like the kickoff return system.
Yeah.
It's got shot in the foot.
Yeah.
I
But
know. I'm still gonna hold out and wait. Let's see what happens after the expansion and everything. And I don't know if
I
I'm gonna
have
ever get back into it. I might.
I have good feelings about this expansion. The new class looks really fun. The changes that they're making look like exactly what we've been screaming at them for a while. Like I think it's great that the devs are actually listening. However, I will say this, and I could be wrong. I don't think I'm going to be, but I think it's a little too late because uh Path of Exiles 2 is about to drop and I think it's going to murder Diablo. It just looks so much better on every level. So I guess we'll see.
That one I'm not really familiar with.
Oh, Path of Exile was actually really good. It's just it's really hard to play now because they've added so much to the game that if you tried to play it right now, it would just be overwhelming. Path of Exile 2 kind of condenses everything that would have be overwhelming and it just it looks so good. You'd have to look at the trailers and stuff for it, but it looks amazing. It looks so good. I'm pretty excited for that one, but it's coming out I think in November, but it's early access again with the early access. I don't know when companies got super smart and were like, "Hey, let's have people pay us to beta test our games for free." But
Yeah.
it's a genius plan, but I just wish that we could go back to like not knowing about a game until we go to the store and buy it and play it for ourselves. Those are the gaming days I miss.
Well, it's the gaming industry is now it's built for the indie developer.
Yeah, I was having a chat with one of my friends the other day about how games nowadays, like before the game is even released, you know every single detail about the game. You know all the best builds. You know, like there's guides out there to tell you exactly what to do to maximize. It's
Oh
not even.
yeah.
There's no discovery in games anymore. It's
I
not even
don't
fun.
ever do those guides anymore. I don't. I have no interest in that.
I
I
try not like when I play through a game for the first time, like I try not to look at anything. I don't do any optimization. I just play the game and try and explore it for myself. I
exactly.
try not to watch videos, but it's hard because they're out there everywhere.
Yeah, I don't even
Everywhere.
care about it. It's not hard for me. I just don't. I just don't even bother with it.
I
Like
mean, I'll
I'm
be
getting ready. I've been playing my second playthrough in Baldur's Gate 3, which I'll get into later, and I'm doing my group the way I think it should be and how it should be balanced based on what I know about Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. So, and my experiences in RPGs. So I'm building a classic RPG balanced group. And
that's
I
awesome.
refuse to look at optimizations and things like that. I'm doing what I think would be fun and successful. So,
Yeah, it's like there's a game that came out recently that I was really interested in because I've heard good things about it, and I was thinking about playing it. It's called Black Myth Wukong, and I've seen so many videos that pop up on my feed on like TikTok and stuff that like I honestly don't think I even need to play the game anymore because I've seen probably every aspect of it, and it looks like it was a phenomenal game. Even though I didn't have to play it, but like it looked great. I've seen everything about it. Like I know all the different tricks on how to beat the bosses and the easy ways and all this, and then like it just wouldn't even be fun if I played it at this point. And that's just from scrolling through. I'll watch maybe 15, 20 seconds of a video, but all of them compiled was just enough to. That's all I needed. Now I know the whole game. It's so silly now. I miss the days when like
well, I
you
don't
had
do
to
anything on
figure
social
things
media
out.
ever, things like that. I mean, I'll watch YouTube, but my YouTube's all about sciencey stuff and things like that, slow mo and all that good stuff. I don't
Right.
really watch anything gaming related.
That's like even with like MMOs and stuff, like EverQuest is never going to be as fun as it was to me the first time I played it because that time there wasn't I mean there was the internet obviously, but there wasn't like all the guide like you went into a boss fight having to figure it out.
I
You
remember
didn't
being a
go into a
kid
boss fight
and actually
with a
having to go
strategy.
buy strategy guides.
Yeah, we didn't have Discord and stuff where we just sat there and like had somebody telling us every second of the fight exactly where we were supposed to be and what we were doing. Like we had to sit there and beat our heads against it until we figured it out.
Do you remember the Nintendo Power Hotline for tips?
Dude, yes.
I got in trouble once because they racked up like an $8 phone bill from that.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure out a part of the game I couldn't get past, and then I wound up calling it, and yeah, my parents weren't too thrilled.
Yeah, I do remember that. I used to get subscriptions to Nintendo Powers, and dude, if I could if I could go back in time and tell myself as a kid one thing, it would be save everything.
Yeah,
Save everything. Because some of those, like the first issue, like I remember having the first issue of Nintendo Power that had like the clay Mario and stuff on it. That thing's worth a fortune now if you still have one and it's in
I
good
was
condition.
telling Mossy
Fortune.
and Rook last week about kind of went into a little story time about my how I got into the game industry
Uh-huh.
and joined that. I haven't told anybody like the games I've worked on, but there was some of the games I worked on. If I would have kept some of those things that I was allowed to keep
Uh-huh.
and not let my ex-wife destroy everything, yeah, some of that stuff would be worth a fortune. I worked on some extremely big titles that some of the stuff that I got digitally and non-digitally, yeah, they're collector's items for sure.
I mean, I had so many things as a kid that I see nowadays pop up, and they're like, "Oh, if you owned one, if you still own one of these, you could have a small fortune on your hands." And I'm like, "Huh."
And the reason why I don't tell on the air like what kind of games I've worked on is because of NDA restrictions and conflicts. So
Right.
because of the podcasting, I can't. Just let everybody know there's a reason why I haven't talked about the games I've worked on.
Right. NDAs suck. I mean, obviously they make sense,
I went
but
through it earlier and checked. I hold 9 NDAs with 8 different companies that are
nice,
still valid.
nice. Oh yeah, which is crazy because those games have now been out for how long, and they're
Many,
just
many
like
years. And
everybody knows every aspect of them, but yet you still can't talk about it.
one game I was on early development is still not out yet. So that one I really have to be careful about.
Uh huh.
But that I worked on that game 8 or 9 years ago. So it was really early development.
Come on, Vikings, hold it together.
I stopped watching the Buffalo Bills game because it's getting stressful, and I don't want to deal with that. I'll look at the end of the result. Hopefully, it's the
Giants
Bills
are,
winning because they played like garbage the first half.
Giants are
Anyway,
knocking on the door.
so what else has been up with your week, man?
Sh-
We've been
I
recording for 20
mean,
minutes, and it's been your week. This is awesome.
I know my week is that. That's it. I mean, I didn't really. That's it. That's all my. I can't really. There's not much more to my week.
We'll get into the NFL stuff later, and I was going to talk about golf on my week, but I'll talk about that later when we go into sports. So that's one of my favorite sports to play. Like I said earlier, I started playing Baldur's Gate 3 again because my first playthrough I was playing as a monk, and my group wasn't really well balanced, and I got to the very end of the second act, the final boss of the second act, and when I started playing it again, after not playing it for many, many months, I couldn't do anything. My group just got wiped out constantly, so I decided to restart. Me and Rook started playing a game together, which has been an absolute blast. I was really looking forward to playing with him this weekend, but he has to work, so he couldn't. And I want to finish the game with him on that one, our complete good guy balance. And we want to get you in there some point, but maybe.
We'll see. That game still hasn't like sparked my interest yet.
Oh, it is so fun. Even if you're not
Especially
into
with
D and
how much
D.
other stuff I'm already playing.
Yeah, I know. But how you can play with your friends and how you all affect the story individually and as a group is crazy. So I did make my new game, and I decided to go for that, like I was talking about earlier, like a balanced RPG style group. So I made my guy as a paladin because I haven't played a paladin yet. I didn't want to do a warrior or berserker, and I wanted to make him a tank, straight up
Yeah.
meat shield. So I did. And paladins have a skill that allow them to have a chance at, I guess you could say, taunting your enemies, so they only attack you. Sometimes it's only like a 20% chance. Sometimes it's 90% chance. It just depends on the enemy.
Or in your case, it's a 1% chance.
Yeah. That 99% chance, it's most likely going to hit a 1. And the luck in this game, oh my lord. We have a group chat in Facebook for me and Rook and Archon. And one day I was playing, I had about an hour to kill. So I played the game, and I rolled 3 ones in a row, trying to unlock something, when I had literally 12 points of bonus. So my bonuses would add 12 to whatever I rolled on the dice. And the requirement was a 10. Or even a higher requirement, doesn't matter. It's still, I kept rolling ones constantly. And then I go and do another roll for something that was just minor and not really important in any way, shape, or form, and I roll a 20. And in D&D, and in this game, if you roll a 1 on the die, it's an instant failure. No matter what. No matter how many bonuses you have. If it could be like a requirement of 5 or even a 2, and when I say requirement, it means you have to match that number or beat it on the dice roll with your bonuses and everything. So even if it's just a requirement of 2, the only way you could lose that is by rolling a 1. And I do.
Yeah, they
More
call it
often than not.
critical failure.
Yeah. Critical success is rolling a 20. So no matter what the requirement is, it could be a requirement of 32, which is almost impossible to get. You roll a 20, you win. Doesn't matter. You roll 20, you win. It's all it is. The critical successes are extremely rare, and I'm not kidding when I say this. I actually only get those on the rolls that don't matter. I have never gotten it on a roll that mattered. Probably never will. My luck in life and gaming is absolutely terrible, but I am convinced that I have been banking on my luck for her, for that one lady, that one moment where I'm going to just hit the jackpot. And
I'm
that's
telling you, your
and I'm
luck
more
will change as soon as your situation changes.
so I'm waiting for that critical 20 in life, and all that luck I've been banking is going to be for her. And I'm going to be it's great. So, you know what? I'm cool with that. If I can be unlucky in video games and little things like that, to have massive luck at one point in my life that's going to make me super happy, got it. Done. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So I've been enjoying my paladin, and I have Gel, which is my wizard, so he's my magic user, and I've been basically building him around AoE damage, which is something I was severely lacking in my last playthrough and hurt me. So now I can do like these massive spells and wipe out 4 or 5 enemies in one shot. It makes the fight so much easier if I can get them grouped up enough. So I've been trying to build it to where I can group them up in certain areas, and I have my priest is Shadowheart, made her a life cleric, not a priest, but my healer. So she can heals herself while she heals everybody else. It's great. So I've been completely focusing on healing and buffing my group. And then I have my rogue. So my rogue is the guy that unlocks everything for me. He's got massive amounts of bonuses for unlocking stuff. So most of the time I do get lucky and unlock something. I buy a lot of lock picks because I use a lot because my luck's terrible. And he's decent in damage. But what I did to try to build him better in damage, because classically rogues are hard to do damage in mid-combat because of their inability to vanish. So he's got vanish abilities now, spells and stuff like that, so he can vanish in the middle of combat, get those criticals. What I did is I multi-classed him. So he's a rogue warrior now. Now, rogues do a lot of build on dexterity, but I took warrior because there's certain aspects of the warrior that are very, very useful, so he can become a massive hitter. Like they have an ability that once per short rest, you can get basically another round of combat. You attack, you hit that ability, they can attack again. So I got him dual wields, and when I hit level 5 on warrior, he'll be able to hit twice per turn, and then with that ability could make it up to 4 times per turn. So right now he's a level 3 rogue, level 4 warrior, and he's kind of useless right now in combat, mostly useless until I get that last level, and then he's going to be a powerhouse. So far, it's been great. I'm back in Act 2, about halfway through it. My guys are level 7, except for Asterion. He's my rogue, so he's level 3 rogue, level 4 warrior. And I'm having a much easier time with combat and things like that. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I'll be able to beat the game with this. The other thing I've been really into lately is MXC, if you guys know what that show is. It was created by Spike TV years and years ago. There was this Japanese game show called something Castle. The whole premise was they had to try to go through these challenges to conquer the castle and get to the bad guy. Well, Spike turned it completely around, called it the most extreme elimination challenge. And the voiceovers they do on it, it makes me laugh so hard every time. I was watching it last night when I was going to bed. And I'd be halfway falling asleep, and suddenly they would say something, and I'd wake up just cracking up every time until I finally turned it off. That show cracks me up. They don't make it anymore, but it's worth watching if you want something that's really goofy and just crazy. It's on Amazon.
Yeah, I've never even heard of it.
You gotta check it out, man. MXC. Most Extreme Elimination Challenge.
I've been really wanting to watch the new season of Rings of Power.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do that too.
But I don't want to do it while I'm sick.
Last night I wanted something to make me laugh. So I wound up watching that instead. I know I told you I was thinking about watching Rings of Power, but I needed to watch something funny.
Well, I don't want to watch the new season while I'm sick because I want to be able to pay attention and I don't want to fall asleep during it. But I was thinking earlier that if I were to it's been a while, so if I were to rewatch the first season and get my wife to watch it with me because she's a Lord of the Rings fan, but get her to watch it with me, then if I fall asleep, it's okay because I've already seen the first season, and then by the time I get to the new season, I should be good. Should be not sick by then. Maybe.
I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna talk about it on this show soon. And I'm sure you will too.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the first season. It started out really slow.
I loved it,
but it ended out with a bang. It was great.
Yeah, I loved it. And I mean, let's be fair, almost every single Lord of the Rings movie is the same way. It starts out kind of slow and gets good as it goes. So, I mean, it's kind of par for the course with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about right. I really need to work on my third book, but I'm kind of in a transitional phase in my life right now, and I need to get things in order before I can sit down and really focus on it. And when I do, I'm going to knock it out probably in like 3 or 4 months. So I have the plan set. I know what I'm going to do with it. I just got to do it. I'm just waiting. So hopefully things get situated in the near future, and I can start focusing on the book. And
That'd be awesome,
hopefully,
dude.
hopefully get my books to audiobook in someday. Hopefully, Audible, if you're listening, please.
That would also be awesome because I would love to be able to listen to your second book instead of have to take the time to sit down and read.
Whatever
Hate
happened
taking the
to
time to sit down
actually
and read.
reading?
I hate taking. Actually, reading books puts me to sleep. I can only read in short bursts. It puts me to sleep.
That's fair.
It can be like I can be wide awake, just woke up from 12 hours of sleeping, and I will fall right back to sleep if I try and pick up a book and read. So,
Well, my gym progress is going great. I'm stuck at
nice.
191 pounds, man. I have been stuck on that for the last 3 weeks. So it's like this big hill I got to get over now. Because I think my body finally balanced out between fat content and muscle. So I'm losing fat equal to my muscle gain. So I just got
Yeah.
to get over that hump. And what I've been doing ever since, I'm sorry I forgot her name, but she gave me the idea about what to do in the gym, and I've been doing it, and it's been awesome. It kicks my butt every time. I'm done with the gym probably about 20 minutes shorter than I normally because I'm doing my exercises nonstop. I'm not giving myself a rest. And I have my watch on all the time, so I'm monitoring my heart rate, trying to keep it between 120 and 130. If I get too high, I'll slow down a little bit, take a quick break, and then get back to it. If it's too low, I'll push myself further. And that's been helping a ton. I actually have a showing six pack. I mean, there's still fat around it, but it's showing. And yeah, my back, my shoulders, my arms are all getting nice and cut. I'm loving it. I just gotta, I'm not where I need to be yet. I still have fat around like my chest area I need to get rid of and my stomach. Once I get that taken care of, it's just
I
gonna be
have
a
a
matter of maintaining.
I have a six pack too, but it's definitely not showing, and it won't be anytime soon. I'd have a long way to go for that.
Yeah, it's nice not
Oh,
being embarrassed if I take my shirt off in front of somebody, you know. Let's talk about sports.
let's talk about sports. I
So,
love sports.
what in your opinion, how is sports a nerdy? How can that be a nerdy thing as well? Because most people think, oh, it's a jock thing, and
I mean, it's just like anything else. Being nerdy over something just means that you're a super fan, basically, that you really
exactly.
enjoy it. And you can be a super fan of sports, and you can be a super fan of Magic the Gathering. You can be a super fan of video games. I mean,
It
it's
boils down to what the definition of a nerd is. Just saying like, oh, nerds have to be into fantasy and sci-fi. That no, no, not at all. Actually, I know plenty of people who are nerds that don't really care for science fiction and fantasy.
exactly.
It
So, I mean, it all just like honestly, if somebody was looking in from the outside and saw, that guy who goes to his friend's house on a Saturday to do his fantasy football draft pick and has all of his stat sheets and knows who he's gonna pick in what orders, and like you would say, dang, that guy's a nerd.
yeah, exactly.
Because you're just a nerd for football, and that's fine because that's awesome. Like
I'm a nerd
I
for golf, big
I would
time.
love I would love to do like I was just talking to Widget before the show about how we should have like put together a fantasy football thing for this year in our Discord, but we didn't get to it quick enough and didn't think about it. Like maybe next year we're gonna have to do it because it would be fun. Like
Oh,
I'd have a
jeez.
blast.
Just look at the Buffalo game. It's 34-28 Buffalo, and it's 1 minute 56 seconds left in the game, and Buffalo's kicking off. This is gonna
Well,
go. This could go bad or good. So I'm not gonna watch it because that's gonna give me anxiety. So I'm really big into golf. I don't like watching it so much as I do love playing the game, and that game is extremely difficult to play. Probably one of the hardest sports to play. Most people don't think about it like that. But have you ever picked up a golf club and tried hitting a golf ball? It's not easy.
yeah, I mean the hitting part isn't terribly hard. It's the hitting it where you want it to go. That's the
And
hard
yeah,
part.
and hitting it in the air accurately. I think the first
Yeah.
4 games I ever played in golf, I never got a shot off the ground.
Not hitting a tree.
And when
Yeah.
you get to that point where you can actually hit generally where you want to go, it becomes a massive strategy game. You against the course. Like, how do you play this course? I know where my strengths are and my weaknesses are, so I try to avoid the spots where I'm weak. Like, if I'm within between 80 and 20 yards of the greens, my weak spot. My short game is not good enough to be that accurate with that. So I always try to lay up my shot to be around 100 to 80 yards from the green because that's where I'm strong.
Yeah, a lot of people, I don't know. I could be off on this and tell me if I am, but like a lot of people are mistaken in the fact that they think when they go out golfing with 3 or 4 buddies that they're playing against their friends, when in
No.
reality you're playing against the course.
No, you're very
You're
right.
playing against yourself, and like, yeah, it's cool if you get a lower score than your buddy, but like, you're playing to get a lower score than you did last time you played, basically.
Yeah. I play against my dad, or I play with my dad every time, not against, because when we first started golfing, it was against because he would beat me every time. We were both beginning. But now I can beat him every game. It's not an issue. We'll tie sometimes, and he'll beat me on occasion. But now we don't play against each other. I'm trying to beat my score. I'm trying to beat the course. And by beating the course, you want to get a 0. And I'm not going to get into the complication of golf scoring, but today or yesterday I shot an 85, which is 13 over par, which for me is pretty good. I shoot low to mid 80s, but I can feel myself improving. And that's what's the fun part for me. Like the last time I played before that, I shot an 86, but I had an absolute garbage front 9. The first 9 holes I did terrible. But on the second 9 holes, I did phenomenal. I was 2 over par with 2 birdies. So that's what made the game worth playing for me, was those moments. Like there's a shirt that says, it's kind of crude, but it's like whack F word. Whack F word.
Mm-hmm.
This game stinks, and suddenly whack, good, great shot, and I love this game again. It's that one shot.
Yeah, the one shot that saves your day. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to getting back into golf a little bit. I got to get my shoulder obviously in a condition where I can play it, but like I was out and about today and happened across a yard sale where I found like an insanely good deal where I basically got 2 full sets of golf clubs, one for me and one for my daughter, for $25. And a few of the clubs are pretty decent clubs. They're all usable. Like I can play with them, and I don't know. I'd like to play, and I need my buddy to be out here so I can play with him.
Yeah, we'll see.
And yeah,
I know that another sport that we're all 3 of us are really into is football.
yeah,
Big time. And we all have our 3 favorite team. All 3 of us have different favorite teams. Like I grew up a Green Bay Packers fan, but the last, I'm going to say 17, 18 years, it's been a lot less. I lived in Buffalo, New York for 15 years, and the Buffalo Bills really, really, really grew on me, and the fandom in that city is insane for that team, even when they were absolutely terrible. I would go watch about 2 to 3 games a year at the stadium, and it was contagious. So I became a big fan of the Bills, and even more so now that they're good again. So they're my team. They're definitely my team, and that's why I got so excited about watching the Bills this morning. And so upset that they're not playing like they should be. They should have dominated this game. But anyway, and I know that Rook is a big Cowboys fan, and if you're not a Cowboys fan, you hate the Cowboys.
yeah.
It's kind of like the Patriots.
Everyone hates the Cowboys.
And you, obviously,
I'm
Vikings.
I'm a big Vikings fan. I love the Vikings. They just won 28-6. Woot woot. One thing that actually surprises me is when we first were about to start the show, we were laughing at how the Chicago was getting dominated 17-3, and now they're winning 24-17.
Uh-oh. So much for your only team winning.
Yeah, their defense just like took over this game, and it was like a 3-touchdown swing in a matter of no time.
And the Bears are projected to be actually terrible this year, like they always are.
No, they're actually projected to be pretty good. Like they were predicting that Caleb Williams kid was going to throw for 500 yards today. Like a lot of analysts I've been seeing have been saying that the Bears could potentially win the NFC North this year.
I didn't see that anywhere.
Because they picked up a really good, like one of the top drafted quarterbacks and one of the top drafted receivers in the first round this year. So they're projected to be really good this year.
Everything I said, they were placed bottom in the NFC North.
You've been looking at the wrong thing.
Power rankings and everything. I was looking the official power rankings for NFL.com before the season started, and it was all the same thing.
I've been watching a lot of like analysts and stuff talking about how the NFC North is going to be one of the hardest divisions this year, and naturally they all think the Vikings are going to be at the bottom because our quarterback is gone and we have Sam Darnold, and they said that it's going to be like a 3-way battle for first place in the NFC North, but now that the Packers are going to probably lose the first 6 games of the season.
I don't know. I think I still am a big fan of Green Bay, not near as much as Buffalo. And it was a hit seeing them lose their Jordan Love, but I don't know. The backup quarterback could potentially be good enough to hold at least.
It's not even really. I mean, the fact that they lost Jordan Love sucks, but it's the fact that they lost him on the second to last play of the game. Like they only had to make it 5 more seconds.
Yep. They could have very easily potentially
And
won that game.
5 more seconds, and their season would have been fine. But then Jordan Love goes down, and
I'm going to put it on the air. My dream
heartbreaking.
Super Bowl, personally, is the Bills versus Green Bay.
Bleh.
But then I would want the Bills to win.
I don't even know if I'd turn that Super Bowl on.
I'd be hosting a Super Bowl party, man.
Wouldn't even be worth watching.
Shut it. We
My
have our
dream
own little
Super Bowl-
rivalries.
My
You can
dream
watch it
Super
with me
Bowl-
and root for the Bills with me, okay?
My dream Super Bowl would just be to see the Vikings in the Super Bowl. Just see them make it.
I think every fan, their dream is to have their team in the Super Bowl.
No. But my team has never been there ever in the history.
I thought they were not
right.
one of the
Yes,
ones. They have. They're not the one of
Yeah,
the ones
they-
that haven't been.
Yeah, they were, but it was like one of the first Super Bowls. It was
Bills
like
went-
they haven't been there in forever.
The Bills went 3 times and lost all 3 times in a row, and they have never been back since.
It's my hometown team, the other NFC North team, the Lions, that have never been. And I don't know if they ever will. I mean, they have a good shot because they have a decent team right now, but I don't think the NFL wants them there.
So we know football. We know golf. Is there any other teams that or sports you're really into?
Well, I'm a big basketball fan. I always have been a big basketball fan.
Yeah, I know that. I was just letting you say it.
I grew up a basketball fan, and like that's always been my number one sport. Especially right now, I've really been. This is something I never thought I'd ever say in my entire life, but so far this year, I've been really big into the WNBA. I've been really enjoying watching
yeah.
these WNBA games, especially like the whole Caitlin Clark thing. And there's a whole thing going on right now that it infuriates me because she's clearing away one of the best players in the entire WNBA, and especially as far as rookies go, she's hands down the rookie of the year. I mean, there's no debate. And the other night, Angel Reese got hurt, and they're like, "Oh, well, now that Angel Reese is hurt, I'm sure Caitlin Clark will probably get the award." It's like, are you dumb?
Well,
Like,
there's political reasons why they do that crap, and I'm not going to get into it on the show. It's stupid, and I don't agree with it.
So dumb, but I mean, it's like everybody's now they're going to contribute they're going to contribute her winning rookie of the year with a little asterisk saying, "Oh, she only won it because Angel Reese got hurt." No, she won it because she's hands down the best player. Like she's in every single analyst out there pretty much, except for Cheryl Swoops, has Caitlin Clark in the running for MVP like of the entire league, not just rookie of the year. So I don't know. It's irritating to me. But anyway, yeah, I'm a big basketball fan.
Wait. Did Buffalo just win and I miss it?
I don't know. Did they? It's possible.
I'm looking. I'm hoping.
Buffalo.
Yes, Bills won it 34-28.
Nice.
After that start, I am so glad they won that game.
I don't even see it on the scores at the top. Weird. Odd.
Yeah, I just looked up scores today, and it was at the bottom. The Bills just beat the Cardinals 34-28 at home, and that should have been a much wider gap than that. But I will take that win.
The Bears, the Bears just won the game. I think they won. If I'm reading this, yeah, they won, and they came back. Like I said, from 17-0, they came back and won it 24-17 with only 149 total yards of offense.
Oh, jeez, that would be a game.
Their defense just won that game for them. Holy cow. 149 total yards of offense.
I've seen that happen before. My other sport that I'm really into, well, I used to be really into, was baseball until they had that baseball strike, and I kind of just lost faith in baseball altogether. But now I've been getting it.
Last night.
Huh? Yeah.
I went to a baseball game last night. I mean, it was minor league, but
That was going to be fun.
yeah, it was great. It was great.
I grew up a Dodgers fan, so I still love
Me
the Dodgers. And I think I've watched maybe 2 or 3 games this year. But they're in the running to get, I think they're currently in second place or first place.
I am also, like, my whole life was always a Dodgers fan, so we actually have a team that we agree on.
Yeah.
Dude, did you see the other day where they walked Shohei Ohtani and loaded the bases? And
Yes.
then Mookie came up next and blasted it.
Yes. I was so happy when they acquired Ohtani.
That
I
dude
was
is
like,
a monster.
yeah, it's like that's the way to do it, Dodgers.
He is an absolute monster.
The Dodgers have been a really dominant team the last like 4 or 5 years, so it's been fun. Like I said, I don't really watch it that often, but I do keep track of it. And I'm with Rook sometimes. I'll watch his Rangers because he's one of my best friends, and he's really into that team. So I gotta support him. But when it comes to Rangers versus Dodgers, sorry man, it's Dodgers.
Dodgers. So while we are temporarily on the subject of baseball, I have to ask you one question.
Yep.
About what are your thoughts on the controversy surrounding Barry Bonds being left out of the Hall of Fame?
I didn't even pay attention to that. I have no idea what that is.
Oh, they're like they didn't vote him into the Hall of Fame, even though he's like one of the best players to ever play the game of baseball. Because
this is true.
Because they said it's because of his steroid use.
Really? That one time?
And, well, I mean that one season basically. But here's my take on that. The only thing that steroids were doing for Barry Bonds was making it to where he was hitting 450-yard home runs or 450-foot home runs instead of 400 yards, 450-foot home runs instead of 400-foot home runs. I mean, he was hitting the home runs one way or the other. I mean, he was good his whole career. That one season, he was just bombing them a little further.
I kind of want to say if they did have known steroid use during their career, that is a red flag.
But he was doing it his whole career.
It's kind of ironic.
Doing it against one of the highest, like that era, the pitchers were juicing, and there were some of the best pitchers ever during that era, and he was still bombing them. I mean, I don't think you could leave Barry Bonds out of the Hall of Fame.
What's kind of funny is my favorite player of all time was Nolan Ryan, and he played for the Rangers.
Nolan Ryan was a monster.
And I was a pitcher, so I was like obsessed with him. I was not very fast. I was a cleanup pitcher, but I was extremely accurate.
When it comes to sports, there's a term that's thrown around a lot called the GOAT.
Yeah, I hate that term.
It is the greatest player of all time. And when it comes to any sport and any player in any sport, the only person that I will ever consider to be the GOAT is Nolan Ryan. And the reason why is because Nolan Ryan holds records that will never be broken. It's just not physically possible for anybody to ever break some of the record. Like
his strikeout count?
Yeah, it's insane. Like you can have a pitcher strike out every batter of every game for 30 years and still not break Nolan Ryan's record. Like it's never going to happen. And if you hold records that will never be broken, you are the greatest of all time.
We're getting a little low on time, so let's talk about sports we don't like. I don't like basketball. You know that. Yeah. It bores me to tears. I've never gotten into it, but not even going to get into that. Another one I'm really not a fan of is what us Americans call soccer, everyone else calls football. That one also bores me to tears.
I'm not a fan of soccer. I do like I don't like watching on TV, but I do like going to hockey games.
Yes. Oh, yes. Again, I lived in Buffalo for 15 years, and there are giant hockey people out there, almost as much as football. Well, not quite.
We have a team near us called the Saginaw Spirit, which is like they're an OHL team, not NHL, but they just won like the Memorial Cup this last year, and it's the first time that an American team has done that in like 90 years. So, like, hockey's pretty big around here, and like every now and then, my wife's
the northern states. I noticed that, like the northeastern states, are really big into it. Anything that borders Canada.
Yeah.
Buffalo Sabres were really good when I was living in Buffalo. I went to 4 of their games. I never watched it on TV unless like I go with a bunch of buddies and they'd watch it. But
we got the Red Wings here, obviously.
Yeah. And I went to a couple of live games, and it was so much fun. I still don't understand half the penalties, but it doesn't matter.
Me either. I don't go there to understand it. I just go there to watch them get into fights, and it's fun.
It's an interesting sport. I've tried playing. I played street hockey as a kid with rollerblades and stuff like that. So I lived in the desert, so the ice was not an option.
I will say that I agree with you on soccer. I have absolutely no interest whatsoever in watching.
I know it's one of the biggest sports in the world, but
my daughter's boyfriend plays it, and she'll go to his soccer games and stuff. But like I just. No. I never really played it, and I never really enjoyed watching it. And
sport where they go for, 2 hours, 3 hours, and maybe score once or twice on average per game is boring. Sorry, guys.
And another one I cannot stand.
Don't mean to, to upset our European fans and all that, or listeners, but yeah, not my thing.
This one could ruffle a couple feathers, but another sport I absolutely cannot stand watching is tennis.
Oh, me too.
It's just
Uh,
uh,
uh. My dad and I were
uh,
talking about that the other day, actually. Uh.
oh, it's so bad. It,
It's
I
another
can't do
really, really boring sport to watch. And what's actually a really fun sport to watch, I never knew about that, was table tennis. Ping pong.
that. Yeah.
I love Asian culture. And
Watching some of them play is pretty interesting, but
I've
yeah,
been
I
told
don't like that either.
I've been told by a certain someone and some buddies more than once in my life that I'm like secretly Asian, but they're really into badminton and ping pong. That's like the two biggest sports in most Asian cultures. And watching ping pong and how they can play that game is insane.
Yeah, like I don't even understand. We used to at my old work, we used to have a ping pong table in the office, and we'd play all the time. It's fun to play, but I don't
Oh
like
yeah.
watching it really. And like
If you did you even watch a little bit of it in the Olympics, it's nuts.
in the Olympics, that's a whole nother story. That's crazy. Like I don't know, the things they do is just. But then again, and don't hate me, I don't like watching golf either. Like I would rather watch paint dry. I love playing golf, but I would rather watch paint dry than sit there and watch golf on television.
I don't mind it because I'm
So
so into playing it.
boring.
Like I'll watch it sometimes with my dad. Like I watched the Olympics, the final round of the Olympic championship, and watched my favorite player win gold. That was amazing.
I will watch like the highlights of like the good shots, but just sitting there watching golf, oh, it's painful. So boring. The one thing about golf
See,
that actually like
Netflix actually did a
amazes me
series.
though,
Hmm?
one thing about golf that amazes me though is the amount of trust that those spectators have
Yeah,
as the guy lines up on the tee and they just for like 30 yards will like line up in a tunnel down him like one miss like you don't want to do that when I'm golfing.
you can kill
You,
somebody with that.
yeah, you're liable to die, lose a tooth or get a
That hard little
concussion.
ball going 180 plus miles an hour off the tee on a drive
Oh,
is dangerous.
concussion city. That thing would ping pong around and take out multiple people. You don't want nope.
So Netflix did a little series about golf, and they
Uh-huh.
followed some of the players that were popular in the PGA. And I watched the one with Scotty Scheffler, and I already really like that player a lot. I've seen him play; he's a great guy. He seems like a really down to earth guy. But when they showed him in his family life and how he's a Christian, really into his family, it's all about his family. I became a huge fan. And then when I watched him win gold at the Olympics, and he was like crying when the national anthem for the United States was going on, it was awesome. So happy for him.
That's awesome.
So I do enjoy watching him play, and he was number one in the PGA this year.
All right. Do we have any time to get into any of our news or anything?
Let's
Or?
talk about movies a little bit, because I do
Okay.
want to talk about the Minecraft teaser really quick. We are running low on time. We're an hour in.
Well, let's do it.
So the Minecraft teaser came out for the Minecraft movie. I had high hopes for it. I'm a big fan of Minecraft. I know Archon is too.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were really hoping, even when we heard that Jack Black was playing Steve, and Steve is the avatar that you play as in Minecraft. That's what they've always called him.
Mhm.
And when you play that game, it's all about your survival. So we were kind of hoping to see Jack Black as Steve trying to survive in this really screwed up block world. But the trailer came out and said differently. There's 4 random characters that look like they're from the 80s. And then Jack Black introduces them halfway into the teaser saying, "I am Steve," and they all groan about it. And so there's a lot of things to unpack about this movie. Like I watched them, they did a scene where they're crafting, which looks good. The animals look completely derpy, like they do in the game.
They look bad. They look so bad.
It's so bad, it looks great. Honestly,
Yeah.
I love the design of the animals.
Yeah, like the sheep. I mean, it's hard to get hyped over a video game movie after the disaster that was Borderlands.
I watched Borderlands, by the way.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
as bad. You told me it wasn't as bad as you were expecting, but it was still
It
bad.
was still bad, yeah. Oh god, it was terrible. But there was aspects of the movie I really, really enjoyed, like seeing Pandora live like that, and they did a really good job of portraying Pandora.
Okay.
Just
Well,
the
I mean, I
main
might watch
characters
it.
were garbage.
I don't know. I have literally zero expectations at all for the Minecraft movie because in my head I'm thinking, how do you even make a movie out of Minecraft? But so I'm going into it with no hopes high, just hoping that it's fun.
It comes out a few days after my birthday, and if I am in Michigan by some chance, who
I'll
knows?
take you to go see it.
Yeah,
to
thank
go see
you.
it.
That's all I'm
But-
asking.
Jason Momoa's character in that movie just scares me.
From what I read, he's supposed to be. I thought it was something else when I first saw it. I didn't like it,
Yeah.
but what I read, he's supposed to be a beggar, so homeless, and it's kind of like whatever he found, he put on. So I can understand that, but come on, the pink jacket and stuff like that. I don't know.
He kind of reminds me of his character from Fast and the Furious, to be honest with you. Like, very flamboyant and like pansexual type of thing, like going on. I don't know. Like it.
Yeah,
Weird vibes.
We'll have to check it out and see. I don't know if I like the idea how the 4 characters like that, but we don't know anything about the story. I'm waiting for the full trailer to come out to get a better idea of it.
I know it's one of the characters is that girl from the Wednesday show, and I thought she did a good job in that show. So it could go either way. We'll see. I mean,
let's talk about your Linkin Park thing before we end the show.
Yeah, so I know. Okay, so a lot of people, probably a lot of our listeners, are fans of Linkin Park. I mean, I grew up. I was a huge fan of Linkin Park. Linkin Park is one of my staple bands, along with Imagine Dragons and a few others. Like, I really enjoy their music. They just announced a new lead singer and a new tour. Their new lead singer is Emily Armstrong, and I've actually listened to some of the music with her as their lead singer, and I'm sad because they have a very iconic sound. They're one of those bands that the second they come on, it's Linkin Park.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That's true.
That sound just isn't there. It's off with her. It just doesn't sound right. And like there was so many choices that they had to fill that spot that I think would have kept that sound and kept their tone. And they went with this completely different feel, and I just don't know.
I was never a big Linkin Park fan, but I can see that.
I'll give it time and see. I mean, obviously you're replacing Chester Bennington, and he is amazing. Like his voice and his style was just so unique.
Unfortunately, he was.
Yeah, he was really good, and it's hard to replace somebody like that. And I understand that they weren't trying. Like, you don't try and find somebody that's going to sound just like him because you're never going to. But you got to at least try and keep your identity as a band and go forward. Like, I know that they've, like, Metallica has replaced people, but Metallica is still Metallica.
That's true. Yeah. They still have the same sound, and it is them.
Yeah. Like, Metallica is another one of those bands that the second, the first 2 minutes of the song, it's a Metallica song because there's no words. It's just Metallica playing Metallica.
So we talked a lot about sports today on the episode, and if it's nerdy and not, we would like to hear what you guys think. And we only mentioned some of the sports that are out there. There's so many. So I know we have a lot of listeners that are in Australia, New Zealand, and Europe, all over the place. And if you guys, we'd like to hear what you have to say about it. Our Discord is a place to do that. And if we get some good stuff, we might talk about it on a future episode. And our Discord is discord.gg/raw podcasts. RAWPODCASTS. That's the place to be. We've got an amazing community there, and it just grows and grows and gets better and better. If you guys want to talk about this or email us to advertise with us or anything like suggestions for the show and things like that, podcastraw@gmail.com is probably the best place to do that. Or you can message us directly on Discord. Our Twitter, aka X, is @podcastraw. Our Facebook is Raw Podcasts. Our Instagram
is Raw Podcast 1.
Thank you. And I mentioned our Discord, so we'll skip that part. And you can follow us individually on different social media. I don't get on social media very often, and if I do, it's normally about the show. But you can pretty much find me on everything as @thewigit, THEWIGIT. And you could also search to find my books if you're interested, my epic fantasy novels. Just search The Widget, or you can search the Drawman Saga.
And you can find me on any social media as The Archon 606, or any video game platforms as QWICK_D_606.
This has been episode 49, and thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you all next week.
Have a great nerdy week, guys.